Dude, I swear I'm not crazy. You ever have a job that just feels wrong? Like, yeah, fast food sucks. We all know that. The grease traps stink. The customers act like they're paying your rent just by ordering a burger. And the headset digs into your skull after wearing it for too long. But I mean, really, have you ever worked a job where, after a while, it starts messing with your head? Because that's what happened to me at Benny's Burgers. I got hired for the night shift, which sounded great at first. No morning rush, no screaming kids, and the drive-thru is usually dead after midnight. Easy money, right? Just keep the fryer running, make sure no crackheads crawl in through the back door, and count the hours until sunrise. But there was something off about working there after dark. I don't know how to explain it, but the place felt different at night. Like when you're alone in your house, and it's dead silent, but you still feel like someone's watching you. Yeah, like that. And I should have known something was weird for my first shift. I was on headset duty, which, if you've never worked fast food, is the worst part of the job. Mostly because the speaker system is garbage. Customers mumble, their engines are loud as hell, and half the time, you have to guess their order based on what little you can hear. But that night, the drive-thru beeped at exactly 2:37 a.m. I did my usual monotone greeting. Welcome to Benny's. What can I get you? Silence. Not the kind where someone's thinking about their order. The kind where your brain instantly knows something's wrong. Static crackled in my earpiece. The kind that sounds way too close to breathing. Then, finally a voice. Low, garbled. Almost like it was coming from a tape recording that had been played a few too many times. I'll have a number 3. Extra blood. What the fuck? I actually laughed because I figured someone was screwing with me. Nice one, man. You want a side of haunted fries with that? No response. Just more static. I checked the drive-thru camera, expecting to see some punk kid in a hoodie messing around. But the lane was empty. And then, the receipt printer went off. Dude, I nearly shit my pants. I didn't even hit the button to confirm the order. But sure enough, there it was, an order slip sitting in the tray. Timestamp, 2:37 a.m. Date, October 23rd, 1994. I stared at it, trying to figure out what the hell I was looking at. The numbers were faded, like an old ticket that had been sitting in a glove compartment for years. I turned to my coworker, Mike. Dude, I said, waving the ticket at him. Did you take an order? Mike was standing by the fryer, looking half asleep, but when he saw the receipt, he frowned. No, man, we haven't had a customer in like an hour. I handed it to him, and his face changed. His usual goofy smirk faded, replaced by something I couldn't quite place. You messing with me? He asked. Bro, you literally saw the printer go off by itself. He didn't say anything, just held the receipt up to the light, squinting at it. Then he did something that really freaked me out. He crumpled it up and threw in the trash. Forget it, he muttered. Just a glitch. Then he walked off like it was nothing. But I noticed something. He kept glancing at the drive-thru window. Okay, one weird order. I could ignore it. But the next night, it happened again. Same time, same static, same damn order. I'll have a number 3, extra blood. I didn't even respond this time. I just ripped off my headset and looked out the window. Still no car. The receipt printed. I almost didn't want to look, but I did. October 23rd, 1994. I swear to God, I want to cry like a little bitch. I call Mike over. This time, he didn't try to laugh it off. Just stood there, staring at the slip, jaw tight. And then, real quiet, he said, You know someone died here, right? I blinked. What? He nodded toward the freezer in the back. Years ago. Guy on night shift, just like us. One night, he disappeared. Only thing they found was his headset. Inside the freezer. Door was locked from the outside. I felt a cold shiver crawl up my ass. So what are you saying? I'm saying, he muttered, maybe we shouldn't be here at 2:37 a.m. I laughed. Forced but a laugh. Dude, come on. You don't actually believe this place is haunted. Mike didn't say anything, but he didn't look at me either. I wasn't even trying to be brave, man. I just wanted a normal shift. But at exactly 2:37 a.m., like clockwork, the drive-thru beeped. This time, before I could even say anything, a new voice came through. Not the same weird, garbled one from before. This one was low and urgent. Desperate. Don't go into the freezer. Every hair on my ass stood up. I ripped the headset off, trying to catch my breath. The receipt printed, and on the bottom, in smudged ink, there was something extra this time. Help me. I stared at it for a long time. Then I did what any sane person would do. I walked over to the freezer door and pulled it open. And that's when I knew, without a doubt, that something was seriously wrong with this place. I should have quit. I should have walked out that night, tossed my apron on the floor, and never looked back. But I didn't. Because I needed the paycheck. Because I told myself I was just imagining things. Because I thought, hell, maybe I just needed some sleep. Turns out, the only thing I needed was to get the hell out of there before it was too late. All right, so remember how I said I pulled the freezer open? I wish I hadn't. Because inside, under the dim fluorescent light, was something that shouldn't have been there. A headset. Not one of ours. Not the newer models we used. An old one. Yellowed plastic, cracked earpiece. Looked like it had been sitting there for decades. And taped to it, a receipt. I reached in, slowly, and peeled it off. It was stiff, like old paper that had been sitting in a shoebox for years. October 23rd, 1994. I felt a wave of nausea roll through me. There was no way. Mike appeared behind me, and when he saw the headset, he went white as a sheet. I turned to him. Dude, what the hell is this? He just shook his head, swallowed hard like the proper hooker he was. Then, under his breath, I swear I heard him whisper, "It's happening again." After that, things got worse. I mean, like the weird shit before, the ghost orders, the static. That was nothing compared to what happened next. Because that night, after I found that headset, I swear to God, I wasn't alone in the restaurant. I'd see these tiny little flashes, movement in the corner of my eye, just outside my vision. Shadows that didn't match the ones cast by the kitchen lights. In a drive-thru, the beeps started coming randomly, like someone was tapping the button over and over. But there was never anyone there. Then, at 2:37 a.m., the system crashed completely. Screen went black, registers locked up, and the cameras shit the bed. That's when I saw it. Just for a second, a figure standing outside the window. I jerked my head toward the glass, but nothing. No one. But my gut was screaming at me. Something had been there. Watching. Mike came running out of the break room, breathing hard. Dude, he said, you need to see this. He yanked me into the office, where the security footage was playing on the tiny old monitor. We rewound to 2:37 a.m. The drive-thru camera, aimed right at the speaker, showed exactly what I saw, the empty lane. But then, a flicker, and suddenly, there was a car there. I felt my heart jump into my throat. Not just any car. A boxy old sedan, pale blue, with a busted rear bumper. I didn't know how, but I knew. It was from the 90s. Mike scrubbed through the footage. The car never pulled in. It was just suddenly there. And worse, there was someone inside. A man, sitting motionless in the driver's seat. Head tilted down, not moving. The timestamp in the corner glitched, flickered between 1994 and present day. And then, just like that, the car was gone. That's when I lost it. Mike, what the hell is happening? I demanded. He didn't answer right away, just stared at the monitor. Then he muttered, I think they're stuck. Who's stuck? He hesitated. Then, real quiet, he said, the people who worked here before. I let out a sharp laugh, but it came out shaky. You're telling me this place is haunted by what? Ex-employees. He rubbed his face, looking exhausted. It happens every few decades, he muttered. Same thing. Orders from nowhere. Car shows up on the feed. A worker disappears. I felt my stomach twist. How do you know that? Mike swallowed. Because it happened to my uncle. He worked here in '94. I just stared at him. He's the one who disappeared. I asked, barely able to get the words out. Mike gave me this hollow look. They never found his body. I was done. I pulled off my apron, slammed my headset onto the counter, and grabbed my car keys. Forget this, I said. I'm out. But Mike grabbed my arm. Wait. Wait for what? I snapped. For some ghost to drag me into the freezer and soil my virgin but cheeks. No, he said, his face dead serious. Wait until you check the register. I almost didn't, but something about the way he said it, the fear in his voice, made my skin crawl. So I turned, walked over, Clicked the touch screen to check pending transactions. And that's when I saw it. A receipt. Already printed. For tomorrow. With my name on it. Timestamp. 2:37 a.m. I stared at it, pulse pounding in my ears. No, I whispered. No way. I reached down, slowly, and grabbed the slip of paper. It felt cold in my hands. That's when I noticed the handwritten message on the bottom. It wasn't typed. It wasn't from the system. It was scrawled in jagged, frantic letters. Run. I quit. I mean, what else was I supposed to do? I told Mike I wasn't going to stick around to become another name on a ghost order receipt. Tossed my apron, stormed out the back door, and didn't look back. But quitting? Yeah, that didn't mean it was over. Because even after I left, the drive-thru followed me. I didn't sleep that night. Just sat in my apartment, staring at that damn receipt with my name on it. I kept telling myself it was some kind of prank, that Mike had rigged the system, that this was all just some elaborate, hazing bullshit. But then, at exactly 2:37 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown caller. I let it ring. Then, a voicemail notification. I don't know why, but I just sat there for a second, heart pounding, before I finally pressed play. Static. And underneath it, a voice. My voice. Help me. I dropped the phone so fast it cracked against the floor. That was it. That was all I needed. I was getting the hell out of town. Next morning, I packed up my shit. I didn't have much, just some clothes, my PlayStation, and a few $100 in my bank account. Enough to disappear. But when I got in my car, the keys were missing. I tore apart my apartment. Searched everywhere. Nothing. Then I noticed something. My front door was unlocked. I swore I locked it the night before. I was sure of it. And sitting just inside the doorway, where I couldn't miss it, a receipt. Same order. Same time. Same warning. Run. I should have just left my car, hitchhiked, done anything but what I actually did. But I felt trapped, like I had no choice but to go back to Benny's. I convinced myself I just needed to confront Mike. Demand answers. So like an absolute idiot, I went back. And when I got there, the place was empty. Not just quiet, I mean lights off, doors unlocked, registers frozen on the screen from the night before. Mike, I called out. No answer. The kitchen was dead silent, except for the low hum of the freezer. And when I walked toward it, the door was open. Inside, it was colder than usual. My breath came out like thick, white clouds. And then I saw them. The headsets. Not just one. Dozens. Some old, some newer, stacked in the corners like discarded trash. Some with wires frayed, earpieces cracked. And the receipts, all scattered on the floor, fluttering in the cold air. I bent down and picked one up, hands shaking. October 23rd, 1994. And another. July 5th, 1978. Another. March 11th, 1959. Each one had a name. Each one was someone who had worked here before. Each one was a person who had disappeared. That's when I heard it. A voice. Right behind me. Low. Rough. Barely human. I told you not to come back. I spun around so fast, I nearly slipped on the ice. And I saw it. It wasn't Mike. It wasn't a man. It was something wearing a headset. Its face was frozen, lips cracked, like it had been left out in the cold too long. But its eyes, God, its eyes were black, hollow pits. And in its frostbitten, claw-like hands, it was holding a receipt, with my name on it. The second I saw it move, I ran. I slipped, crashed into the metal shelves, scrambled on my hands and knees toward the door. But when I grabbed the handle, it wouldn't budge. Locked. From the outside. Just like in the story. Just like what happened to Mike's uncle. I started pounding on the door, screaming for help, begging, when I heard the receipt printer again. Over and over and over. Printing new names. New orders. New workers. And when I turned back, the freezer was full. Not just the headsets, but of them. Figures in the dark, all wearing Benny's uniforms, all standing in the corners, motionless. And every single one of them had black, empty eyes. I don't remember much after that. I remember screaming. I remember the door finally unlocking and slamming open so hard I fell forward onto the floor. And I remember running. That's it. I don't remember driving home. I don't remember grabbing my stuff. But I do remember waking up in a motel 3 states away with a half tank of gas and my wallet missing 20 bucks. And when I checked my phone, I had one new notification, a mobile receipt for a transaction at Benny's Burgers. Time, 2:37 a.m. Paid in full. I don't know what the hell happened that night. I don't know if Mike got out. I don't even know if he was real to begin with, or if he was just the next name on the receipt before me. All I know is Benny's Burgers is hiring again. They always are. And every time I check my phone at 2:37 a.m., I see the same thing. A missed call, a voicemail, and my own voice whispering, "Help me."